Hey guys, so first movie review of 2017. I did quite a few of these fairly regularly back in 2014, but fell out of it, and I mentioned that I'd like to get back into it, and here we are. These will always avoid spoilers as much as possible. And today we're going to talk about Logan, the newest and possibly last X-Men movie before a future reboot, well known regardless as Hugh Jackman's last performance as Wolverine. This is the end of an era that began over 15 years ago. When we first met Wolverine, Logan, he was a slacking, cynical truck driver, willfully unaware of all those out there like him. What develops throughout this film series, specifically within his character arc, is a gradual shift back and forth in priority, resolve, focus, and anger. And in each of these movies, in most circumstances, you really never know just where and how far he'll be pushed on any one of those things. So after seeing over the years the struggles he's faced, it's no surprise where he's eventually ended up in this film. What's poignant about this is just how far he's been pushed and just how much it's affected him to his core. It's conceivable, it's similar to where he started, but it's also so far gone, so different, so torn down by time and experience that it's just extraordinary to see where this film starts off at. We see Logan now as a disheveled, disillusioned, worn-out limo driver in mourning over the family we've seen him somewhat reluctantly adopted into over the years. He's got a drinking problem, the worst it's been. He's not healing as easily. One of his claws doesn't come out all the way anymore, and he's got to pull it out through the pain to get it back to normal. He's got Xavier to take care of, as a degenerative brain disorder of some kind threatens the professor's powerful mind into becoming something more dangerous and out of control than it ever has been. Logan must tamper the professor's powers and prevent his seizures, as both wreak havoc on any and all people within a certain perimeter. Logan's plan is to save enough money for them both to go off and live on a boat away from people as two of the last mutants left. And he's approached by both a woman who offers him a lot of money to transport this mysterious girl that's apparently in danger to a safe haven in North Dakota, and a threatening man that needs Logan to call him should that lady approach him. He's lost a significant amount of his will to keep going. He's not sure what to do, doesn't really want to become involved in this whole thing, and has no faith that there's any future for him or Xavier. And this is just a dark, gritty, dramatic film that honestly does not feel like a comic book movie. It feels like a serious, realistically handled, well-balanced character study that just happens to feature Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's performance in this is both stunning and hard to watch at times. To see how broken and lost Logan seems, it's perfectly portrayed through a mixture of the attitude we've always seen in the character from the beginning and a subtlety that we haven't necessarily seen that gives this character a powerful vulnerability that we've barely been privy to. Wolverine, throughout these movies, usually comes off as headstrong, willful, and aggressive, but in this feels apprehensive, beaten, and just tired. Hugh Jackman in this makes this transformation from where this character started to where he is now feel completely natural. I felt fully invested into him and in this final story of his from beginning to end. This is actually the only Wolverine-centric movie that I've taken the time to see. I've heard way too many bad things about the others to see them, but I knew I had to see this one because it's the last. I was worried it'd have a bit of campiness to it, or on the other end of the spectrum that it would take itself too seriously, or that it might drag on with a runtime over 2 hours long, but I felt fully engrossed the entire time despite how long certain scenes seemed to linger. There was always a certain tension built up from everything else that had already happened, and even in moments of rest from the action, you always just feel this lingering suspense that something will happen and the scene will do a 180, and that happens, and it's both intense and rewarding. Any dull moments plot-wise are underscored and enhanced with some really great character development. And the characters, other than Logan, are also pretty great. The main antagonist does a great job at being both cool and menacing, though he's undermined a bit by the introduction of a kind of random second antagonist towards the middle, and that antagonist introduces another enemy that just kind of muddles things a bit. But overall, they're formidable foes for Wolverine to face, and then Patrick Stewart is just amazing as Xavier. It's honestly even more amazing to see how far he's come from the first movie. It's both unbelievable and entirely realistic, and his performance is so nuanced and well done that you just kind of forget who the actor is and only see the character. I mean, that's the case in a lot of ways, including the little girl who kind of becomes the second main character. She's seriously great, and the young actress that played that part brilliantly. My only issue with this movie, and it's diminished as an issue the more the movie went on, is how much the R rating is flaunted all throughout. That was an issue I had with Deadpool, that it all seemed arbitrary and added nothing much at all to the story. There's some obvious reasons for the rating at the beginning, and none of it at first really seems to have a reason other than just 'cause. But the more and more it gets used to itself being a more mature film, the more it feels natural and fits both the plot and where the characters are at in this moment. It's a kind of fan service, I think, to finally hear Wolverine and Professor X cuss at one another and release the pent-up aggression that's never been fully expressed. It's a bit too much at first, but then works as a way to make the characters feel more human than they ever have before eventually. Overall, I enjoyed this immensely. The first of these X-Men movies came out when I was 9 years old, and I saw it in the theater with my parents. I've seen all the big ones, and obviously there's been ups and downs in this franchise, but to see how much it's grown and how far the main character, arguably, of the whole thing has come, it's incredibly fulfilling and both very nostalgic and refreshing in the way it handles things. The continuity of this whole series is a little muddled, and this one's kind of no different, but what's important is the character, Logan, and to see him sent off in this way is just awesome. I highly suggest you see this whether you're a fan of the franchise or not. I think it's got something for everyone, and just feels, as the first X-Men movie did, albeit in a different way, like an important entry into the comic book movie genre. So, I think that's it for me. Let me know if you've seen it and what you thought of it. I'd love to know, especially how it stacks up for you amongst all the other X-Men movies. If you haven't seen it, definitely know if you're interested in seeing it. It's got a ton of surprises, lots of action, real emotional depth, and a fantastic ending, so give it a shot. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later with more.